Who's this guy? Yeah. This is for the documentary, mate. Yeah, man.
Lifestyle flair.
Central London with Adam Coleman.
A lot of people have a hard time talking about their vulnerabilities. Why? Because they make you feel vulnerable. It's an uncomfortable feeling. But sometimes talking about your vulnerabilities helps to empower you, makes you stronger. And one of the things that are taboo for men to talk about is their vulnerabilities. One in particular is their insecurity. And insecurity is a word that can mean a whole bunch of different things. But I wanted to talk about insecurity because insecurity was part of my life. It was a part of a greater issue that I had, which was confidence issues, low self-esteem. But insecurity was that piece that crept into my life in multiple ways, especially in relationships. But I want to talk about a part where most men don't really actually speak about. It's their insecurity about their outward appearance, which leaks into how they feel inside as well. And one of the things I always struggled with was my appearance. I don't think I'm an ugly person. I don't think that really is anything for me to be concerned about as far as like attraction level, as far as my face. But other things, like I have a gap in my teeth. That's always been an insecurity of mine. My weight, I'm actively losing weight now. And I'm trying to shed away the outward appearance of my insecurities. It's always been something that's there. Becoming a more public face, even doing something like this, makes me confront my insecurity about how I look in public. Going on television, I've been very fortunate to go on multiple TV networks, but I rarely watch them again. And I hate when I have to edit them and try to promote them. Because while it is an accomplishment, I have to look at myself. And when you don't have that outward appearance that you desire, it's something that you constantly avoid. And for many years, especially in recent years, with me becoming a more public person, my outward appearance has always been something that I felt insecure about. Whether it's just like my stomach, if I'm getting, man boobs or, I've always just felt unsure about my body. Years ago, I had lost a tremendous amount of weight. I lost about 80 or so pounds in 10 months, which is a tremendous feat on its own. And I actually kept it off relatively so for a couple of years. But my issue was that even at that weight, I still didn't feel fully comfortable in my own skin. I knew I wasn't huge like I was, but I wasn't comfortable. In many ways, I was picking at myself. I wasn't muscular. I'm more muscular these days because I started weight training, but I wasn't as muscular. I still was like skinny fat, that new term that people are trying to use now. But I wasn't at my optimal. And sometimes I would still see myself as the old me, the bigger me. And it was something that even with me getting rid of the weight, my insecurity was still there. Now, how do you battle something like that? How do you conquer that insecurity? Because I just got done saying my insecurity had to do with the external, but I got rid of the external. I dropped all that weight. So why am I still looking at myself like this old, the fat guy who was at 260 something pounds? Why was I still seeing that? And it's because I thought the solution to my problems was the external. But in reality, it's a combination of the two. It was my internal that I needed to address. It was my lack of confidence that I needed to address. And while it got better as I lost weight, I still didn't address like the root of the problem that I was facing. And because of that, because I never addressed it, I never fully appreciated the size I was. And slowly over time, it crept up. And I actually got into a tumultuous relationship, and my weight significantly skyrocketed. And once I went back, I want to say I gained about 50 pounds in a year, something ridiculous. But once I went back up to that weight, it really, really took a toll on me mentally. Because I could recognize that I worked really hard to lose that weight, to try and shed that piece of me that I was insecure about. But once it was gone, I realized I didn't appreciate it when I had it. And going from a size 30 waist to a size 36, breaking into a 38 in about a year, is a tremendous weight gain. And I lost control. And I never fully gained that back. You know, my weight has always fluctuated, and it's always been something that I felt like I couldn't control, something I couldn't get under control because internally in my head I wasn't under control. And all of this to kind of highlight that insecurity exists within men. A lot of men feel the same way that I do. A lot of men don't feel comfortable talking about these things. You know, for men, talking about how you feel, it has to be linked to some sort of solution, which I generally agree with. But because many men don't have a solution, they're unwilling to talk about these things. They're unwilling to say, I have a problem. I'm insecure about these things. And so they never get it addressed because they don't have a real solution. You know, how do you tell a man to have, you know, you can't talk about something until you have a solution for the problem. You know, but how do you seek out a solution if you're not allowed to talk about the problem? It's that kind of a confusing situation. What made it worse for myself and for many men is I didn't have a father to lean on to kind of talk to him about these things. You know, if I saw my son gain weight in a very rapid rate in a short period of time, I would say something to him unprovoked, because we would have that type of relationship where I could say, you're not looking healthy, you need to get your life in order. But I didn't really have that. And I feel like for a lot of fathers, we kind of have that carte blanche to be brutally honest with our sons about what they're doing with themselves, and to lift up their confidence and tell them that you can do these things. Not just point out like you're getting fat, but like, I have a solution for you because I have wisdom and I've been through this, or I know somebody who's been through this, and this is how you can do it. And give them that confidence. And that was the thing I struggled with. My insecurities ran wild because I didn't have that confidence. I didn't have anybody to lift me up, on a consistent basis. And I didn't have a man to help lift me up like a father would. So my insecurities go way, way back, and they're very much so deep-rooted. Once I became an adult and I started sitting down in an office and had my own money and just started eating whatever, I started drowning myself within food, and I started just losing control. I was faced with things I never faced before. Irresponsible behavior. And I just wish that somebody was there to kind of keep me in check, another man to keep me in check. Because at very, very particular times in my life, another man, a friend's father said something to me and sticks with me to this day, and I think about it. But what if I had that all the time? What if I had someone to kind of highlight these things, to not let me drown in my insecurities? And my insecurities have led into ruining relationships, becoming unattractive, not just outwardly, but inwardly. because that insecurity leads to other types of behaviors. And for my female friends and female viewers, you probably already know this, because I think it's something that's inside every woman. All women care about their personal safety. You know, you're weaker than men, generally speaking, so you're very particular about who you're around. But insecure men are the most dangerous men to be around, because they're the ones who want to control you. They're the ones who want to tell you where to go. They're the ones who want to tell you, you can speak with this person. You can't speak with this person. The only reason they would do something like that is because they're insecure. Why would your partner tell you that you can't speak with your mother, or tell you that you can't wear a very particular outfit? Nothing risque, but he has to control how you appear. Sometimes these insecure men want to make you look uglier, because if other men notice your attraction, then that puts them in a competition that they don't think they can handle. And so they start doing things to control you. And the more control they have in their head, the more likely you're not to leave. But that's on the extreme side, something that's more physically abusive and mentally abusive. But on the other side is more so where I fit, where I was insecure to the point of being unattractive. I was insecure to the point of my partner not believing in me because I wasn't believing in me. And I think that's something that a lot of men are struggling with. We're struggling with that insecure side of us, where the women around us see us slowly just decaying on the inside, not accepting ourselves, having a hard time lifting up ourselves. We're supposed to be leaders, but how do you lead when you're not even sure about yourself and who you are and if you can even do the task at hand? That's what insecurity does. It seeps into your confidence, and it just runs rampant on your entire life. And insecurity is something that I still am overcoming. Sitting here doing my first video podcast, staring straight into the camera, is something that I'm slowly overcoming. It's because despite me going on television, going in studio, being on multiple podcasts, I still have that piece of me that is a little bit insecure about how I look, a little bit in denial about how I look. And it's something that I'm struggling with, but I'm getting better at it. And I don't think you can fix what you don't acknowledge. And so much of this talking to the camera is acknowledging my insecurity. And I think that's the first step to improving yourself. You cannot fix what you don't acknowledge. And men have to be able to discuss these things. They have to have some sort of outlet to talk about it, whether it be the internet, whether it be a friend, your father, uncle, preferably another man who can understand where you're coming from. You don't have to cry about it. I'm not trying to cry about it, but I'm trying to discuss it because I don't want my insecurity to control my life. I want my insecurity to be a distant past, but I can't move forward if I don't acknowledge it. So this is partly why I'm discussing it here, and hopefully another man can take something from this. But there are different moments in my life where insecurity damaged my relationship. One in particular, the one where I gained, I want to say about 50 pounds or so in a year, in a relatively quick fashion. I was insecure about how I was looking, and it seeped into my confidence. And over a period of time, she trusted me less. She trusted me less with her safety. She was more dismayed about going out in public with me, not necessarily because I was gaining weight. She was actually trying to be supportive, find me new clothes that fit and things of that nature. But I still didn't like it. It was hard to grapple with that I lost control. And I think she didn't understand where I was coming from, and I didn't know how to communicate that properly. And we got into arguments and fights, but a lot of that had to do with my insecurity. And I didn't know how to convey that message to her in a way that she could understand. And my verbal communication, or even just understanding how my behavior was affecting her, wasn't there at the time. This is a number of years ago. And it took a maturation to figure this out, to figure out where my weakness was within that relationship. And I can think of previous relationships, even dating. My insecurity was there. And sometimes my insecurity would turn into desperation. Finally I would get a girl to go on a date with me, and I would go and do above and beyond. And I didn't realize that my desperation was like a warning signal to a woman who doesn't know me. She doesn't know that I'm actually a nice person and I'm not going to do anything harmful. But I was so desperate because I didn't accept myself. Buying flowers on the first date, which sounds good, but when you go above and beyond for someone who's a complete stranger, that sometimes is a warning signal. How you carry yourself, your general behavior. All of these things are, something where women might turn away. They might say, something's off with this guy. He seems kind of desperate. And looking back, hindsight's 2020, I was desperate. I definitely had moments where I appeared desperate. And there were moments that I wasn't actually desperate, but it was just my mannerisms, my behavior, and I didn't realize I was signaling wrong. So it was a combination of the both. But I think all of that links back to my insecurity that I'm slowly addressing. And over time, I've become more confident. Even with me saying I'm insecure about my looks, I'm definitely confident about who I am. I've gotten more confident about who I am, more sure about what I believe and how I want my legacy to be, what kind of father I want to be, and how I want to raise my son. All these things I'm very sure about, very confident about. But it's just that piece of insecurity that exists within me about how I look, how I carry myself, where I go, how people perceive me. Wishing I can wear smaller clothes. Should I get braces and close this up again? I had braces when I was a kid, and my gap opened up over time because I didn't follow the directions of the dentist. So that's my fault. Taking ownership is important. But I wonder how many men out there are in similar situations as me. How many men are sitting at home, unsure about themselves, not sure how to move forward, feeling like they're the only man who feels insecure about their body. How many men feel like this? Where is the outlet for them to actually talk about this? This is why I talk all the time about the impact of fathers in young men's lives. You ever ask yourself, why are all these men turning to online influencers for answers? Because they don't have men near them that they can talk to, that they feel comfortable enough talking to. They're turning to someone, although someone on the internet at a distance, but someone who's at least trying to provide some sort of answer. Whether it's the correct answer is a different story. But someone is trying to speak to them and answer their questions. And they don't know how to move about this world feeling comfortable in their own skin. It's very easy for us to talk about women, how they look, because, there's a lot of value to be attained when it comes to beauty standards for women. But what about the men? How many guys have had plastic surgery? And when they do, people scoff at them. They get muscle implants. They look, kind of weird. They don't really look right. We all kind of laugh. Sometimes we laugh at women who get ridiculous plastic surgery, but that's if they look ridiculous. But for men, if they do something like that, kind of scoff at them. Why would they do such a thing? Men don't really, you're not supposed to care that much about your appearance. You're supposed to, look nice, maybe go and work out or something. That's the expectation, but you're not supposed to care so much that you would implant some silicone into your body or whatever it's made out of. You wouldn't implant something into your body to enhance your looks, right? Well, those are insecure men. They're insecure about something. Something on their body bothers them, and they don't know what else to do other than to try and fix it. In that case, they're trying to find some sort of way to fix it. But we're not allowed to be insecure. We're not allowed to be insecure. We're not allowed to talk about it. But we see the signs of insecure men all around us. We just don't call it that. So the abusive men, they're insecure. The guys who are incels, likely insecure. They point blame at other people for their failure to get women. And they're kind of insecure. So when they try something and they fail because of how they look. I got pimples. Oh, I'm not that guy. They're insecure about how they look. For sure, they're insecure. It manifests in so many different ways. And I just find it interesting how culturally in the United States, we don't really address the insecurities of men. Much of what they're trying to do is find some way to succeed in a competitive life. How do you succeed if you think your outward appearance isn't of value? If you think your outward appearance isn't up to par to everybody else? I've been guilty of looking at people who are stronger, more muscles, thinner. I've been envious of these people, and I'm willing to admit that. How many guys move about life thinking the same thing? Not even the man in a movie who look, like The Rock. Not even necessarily that. Just the guy walking down the street that's fit. How many guys out there are like, man, that guy's fit. I wish I was like that. I could never be like that. They just have this internal dialogue of self-doubt that they can never achieve anything similar to that. And sometimes I struggle with that too. If you enjoyed watching this video, you can watch the full episode by becoming a paid subscriber on my Substack, adambcoleman.substack.com, or you can become a paid subscriber on my Twitter account, @wrong_speak. Thank you for your support. God bless.